You know that feeling when something's wrong, but everyone around you keeps saying you're overreacting? That was my life for almost 2 years. From the outside, I had the perfect marriage, a supportive husband, a cute apartment, matching mugs, couple goals on social media. But behind that filter, I was being gaslit by the one person no one ever expects, my mother-in-law. It started small. Whispers, eye rolls, comments made when my husband wasn't around, like, he never used to forget things before you came along. You don't have to wear makeup every time we come over. It looks desperate. I just want what's best for my son. That's not a crime, is it? At first, I brushed it off, tried to laugh, tried to be the bigger person. Because that's what they say, right? She'll come around. It's just how mums are. Don't take it personally. But I should have, because what I didn't know back then was that she wasn't just being passive-aggressive, she was planting seeds, and she was doing it on purpose. One night, my husband came home quiet, too quiet. He sat on the edge of the bed, didn't look at me, and just said, "Did you tell my mum you think she's manipulating me?" Blinked. "No, I didn't say that. Why would I?" He cut me off. "She said you've been talking about her behind her back, that you said she's trying to ruin our marriage." And just like that, I saw it, the trap, the perfect little lie she had spoon-fed him, twisted just enough to sound believable, just enough to make me look like the problem. I tried to explain. I told him about the comments, the way she looked at me when he wasn't around, the jabs, the digs, the subtle put-downs. But he didn't believe me. Because that's the thing with manipulative people, they don't show their true face to everyone, only the ones they're trying to break. That night I cried in the bathroom with the water running, not because I was heartbroken, because I was angry, because I knew I was being played, and I was done playing nice. She wanted a show? I was going to give her one. But this time, I'd be the one writing the script. They say when people show you who they are, you should believe them the first time. I didn't, but I would now. That night, after I wiped my face dry and turned off the faucet, I made a decision. I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to beg, I was going to observe and collect. Because she wasn't just mean, she was methodical, so I needed to be too. I started small. The next time she visited, I left my phone on the kitchen counter, recording, face down, silent, just there. And like clockwork, the second my husband went to grab something from the store, she struck. He used to be more ambitious before he married you. You're lucky he's still with you, honestly. Most men would have left by now. I didn't argue, I smiled, let her talk. When she left, I replayed the audio, crystal clear, smug tone, controlling language, exactly the kind of gaslighting that hides in plain sight. I saved it, backed it up in 3 places. Then I waited. The next few weeks, same strategy. I invited her over, made tea, played the role of forgiving daughter-in-law. And every time my husband stepped away, she revealed more, little digs, backhanded compliments, and eventually direct attacks. I told him he deserves better. He knows it too, even if he won't admit it yet. Boom, there it was, the line, the proof, the betrayal. And she said it with a smile on her face like it was a blessing. But I wasn't done, because I knew audio wouldn't be enough for my husband. He needed to see it. So the next time she came over, I had the living room smart speaker synced. Not just audio, video, full angle, clear, unmistakable. She sat on my couch and, without hesitation, told me I was ruining her son's life. If you really loved him, you'd leave. Let him grow. You're holding him back. And I just nodded, like I agreed, because this time she had no idea she was performing for the final time. When she left, I backed up the clip, named it The Curtain Falls, and sat on the floor staring at the file. I had it. The confession, the venom, the mask slipping, all of it. But I didn't show it to him right away, no, because this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth and timing. He needed to be ready to see her for who she really was, so I waited, One last time. It happened on a Sunday. We were cleaning out the closet when he found an old photo album. We sat on the floor, flipping through pages, laughing, reminiscing, talking like we used to. And somewhere between a photo of our honeymoon and one of our first apartment, I saw it. That look in his eyes, the one I hadn't seen in months, the one that said, "I still love you, but I'm confused." So I asked him, "Do you believe me now?" He looked up slowly, didn't answer right away. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he said. And that was enough. Not anger, not dismissal, doubt. Which meant the door was cracked open. So I stood up, walked to the bookshelf, grabbed the drive, plugged it into the TV. He furrowed his brow. "What is this?" I didn't say a word, just hit play. The room filled with her voice, that sugar-sweet tone she used when she was being extra polite. But underneath, venom. "She's not right for you. You could do so much better. I only want what's best for you, but she's making you weak." I watched his face. At first it was blank, then came the furrow in his brow, the twitch in his jaw, and then the silence, that deep, uncomfortable silence that only happens when a lie dies in real time. She kept talking, clip after clip, week after week, until the final one. "I told him he deserves better. He knows it too, even if he won't admit it yet." Click. I paused the video. He didn't speak for a while, then he said, "I can't believe this." But he could, he just didn't want to. "I tried to tell you," I said gently. He nodded, still staring at the screen, still seeing her face morph from caring mother to calculating manipulator. "Why didn't you show me this earlier?" he asked. I shrugged. "You weren't ready to see it." And he knew I was right. Because sometimes it's not the lie that blinds you, it's how much you want it to be true. That night, he called her. I didn't ask what he said. I didn't need to. All I know is, she didn't call back, she didn't visit, she didn't send one of her "I'm just checking in" texts, just silence. And for the first time, it felt like peace. The days after that call, quiet. Not the awkward kind, the healing kind, the kind where you can finally hear your own thoughts again. He kept his distance, not from me, but from her. No phone calls, no drop-ins, no "but she's still my mum" speeches, just silence and presence. One night, he sat next to me on the couch, no TV, no phones, just us, and he said, "I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner." I looked at him for a long time. Because when someone you love questions your truth, it leaves a mark, even if they come back, even if they apologize. You can forgive, but you never forget what it felt like to stand alone. So I told him the truth. "You didn't break us, but you didn't protect us either, and now we have to rebuild, from the ground up." He nodded, didn't flinch, didn't argue, just said, "Then let's start today." We made boundaries, real ones, no more unannounced visits, no more back-channel conversations, no more pretending everything was fine for the sake of keeping the peace, because peace built on lies. It's just a prettier form of war. And me? I changed too. I stopped trying to impress people who didn't want to like me. I stopped twisting myself into a version of a good wife that only existed to keep others comfortable. I started listening to my gut again because it had been screaming all along and I had ignored it to be polite. One afternoon I walked past the mirror and caught a glimpse of myself. And for the first time in a long time, I looked safe. Not pretty, not perfect, safe. And that meant more to me than any ring, any title, any approval I had begged for before. So no, this isn't a story about a dramatic fight, or a screaming match, or a divorce. This is a story about clarity. About no longer letting people rewrite your reality, just because they wear a smile while they're lying. And that camera? That wasn't my revenge. That was my evidence of what happens when a woman stops explaining herself and just lets the truth play out. People always ask, so, what happened after? Did she apologize? Did things go back to normal? Did you finally make peace? And the answer? No. Nothing went back, and nothing was normal to begin with. Because once someone shows you how far they'll go to break you, you don't rebuild what was, you build something new. We didn't cut her off right away. That's the part people don't understand. Sometimes, even after the mask falls, you still stare at the face beneath it and wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's a piece of the person you used to trust hiding in there. There wasn't. She tried to pretend like it never happened, avoided the topic, kept texting, "Hi, sweetie," like she hadn't tried to erase me from her son's life. But the silence she got in return, it spoke louder than any fight ever could. My husband took time to process, to accept that his mother wasn't just overprotective, she was calculated. And it hurt him in a different way. He started therapy, alone. Not for us, for himself. And I respected that, because real healing isn't done in pairs. It's personal. As for me, I stopped trying to reclaim our marriage. Instead, I started defining it on my own terms. We put new rules on the table, new boundaries, new definitions of loyalty, of love, of what it means to show up. Because love isn't just about saying, "I believe you." It's about proving it when it's inconvenient, when it costs you comfort, when it means choosing truth over tradition. There are still days I feel her shadow. At family gatherings, in old photos, in the way his phone goes silent sometimes when she calls and he doesn't pick up. But I don't flinch anymore, because I know that shadow doesn't own the light we built. I started keeping a journal, not the kind with quotes or pastel pages, the kind that says, "This is what happened, this is what I felt, this is what I chose to do instead of disappearing." And entry by entry, I came back to myself, not the version that was liked, not the version that smiled through her insults, the version that doesn't shrink to keep the room calm. This isn't the end of the story, it's just the part where I stop looking back and start living like I finally belong to myself again. I started waking up earlier, not because I had to, because I wanted to. There was something healing about being awake before the noise, before texts, before explanations, just me. The sunlight creeping across the walls, and that quiet knowing I survived what was meant to break me. We moved eventually, not far, just enough to feel like the energy shifted. The old apartment held too many echoes of slammed doors, half-truths, tense dinners where I smiled too hard and spoke too little. The new place? It didn't know her name, didn't carry her fingerprints. It was clean, bare, and full of possibility. I repainted a wall by myself, navy blue. Everyone said it would make the room feel smaller, but it made me feel held, like I had carved out a space that was only mine. I filled it with plants, books, photos I chose, not for likes, not for guests, just for me. My husband noticed the difference in how I moved, how I spoke, how I no longer asked for permission to take up space in my own life. He once said, "You feel like someone I'm still getting to know, and I like her." And I smiled, because I liked her too. She never apologized, not once, no letter, no hext, no "I was wrong," just silence, and occasionally, resentment delivered through mutual relatives. "She's just hurt, you know? She didn't mean to cause damage." But intention doesn't erase impact, and silence doesn't clean blood off stained memories, so I stopped expecting closure. That was the final thread. When I let go of needing her to explain herself, to see herself, I became truly free. Because closure doesn't come in their apology, it comes in your decision to stop shrinking for someone else's comfort. Sometimes I see women like me, at cafes, in waiting rooms, on social media, smiling too hard, folding themselves in half to make room for people who only want control, and I want to reach through the screen and say, "You're not crazy, you're not dramatic, you're not too much. You're just finally starting to see the lie for what it is." There's a moment in healing where you stop trying to get back to who you were, and you start becoming someone entirely new. Not because the old you was weak, but because the new you knows better. That's where I am now. I stopped giving energy to what could have been, the dinners we didn't have, the birthdays she ruined, the mother-in-law I wanted her to be, that version of her, that version of me, gone. Now I get to choose who enters my peace, who sits at my table, who gets the unfiltered version of me. And no, she's not one of them. Not because I'm bitter, but because I'm finally full. I started volunteering at a local shelter, At first, it was just to get out of the house, do something that wasn't about me for once, but it became something more. I met women, strong women, quiet women, women who had been gaslit, erased, minimized by their own families. And in every one of their stories, I saw pieces of mine. So I started speaking, not publicly, just one-on-one, listening, offering what I never got, a mirror that says, I believe you, you're not imagining it, and you're allowed to stop justifying your pain. One day a woman said, I don't know how you stayed so calm, and I told her, I didn't, I just stopped explaining myself to people committed to misunderstanding me. She cried, and in that moment, I realized, maybe I didn't go through all of that just to survive. Maybe I went through it so I could become someone solid, for someone else who's still shaking. A few months ago, I was invited to speak on a panel. It was called Silent Strength, Women Who Chose Truth Over Revenge. I hesitated. I'm not a speaker. I'm not polished. I'm just someone who didn't let a lie define her. But I said yes. I stood on that stage, nervous, palms sweating, and told my story. Not the edited version, not the digestible one, the real one. The mother-in-law who smiled in public and sabotaged in private. The nights I cried in secret. The moment I hit record and let her words become her undoing. And when I finished, there was silence. Not the awkward kind, the kind that says, we felt that. Afterward, a teenager came up to me. She said, I've never told anyone, but my aunt does the same thing to my mom. I looked her in the eyes and said, tell your mom, and if she doesn't believe you, keep telling the truth anyway, because one day she will. She hugged me, and in that moment I knew this wasn't just my story anymore. It belonged to every woman who's ever been called too sensitive for pointing out the poison everyone else keeps drinking. These days, my life isn't picture perfect, but it's clear. I don't chase approval. I don't explain boundaries. I don't shrink. I wake up in a house that feels mine. I eat with someone who sees me. And I exist, freely. Not because everything is fixed, but because I fixed the one thing that mattered most. Me. Sometimes I think about legacy, not in the big dramatic way, not trophies, not headlines, not awards. I think about what we leave behind in the people we touch. I may never get an apology from her. I may never fully understand why she felt so threatened by me, by my presence, by my strength, by my love for her son. But I do know this. She doesn't get to be the end of my story. She was just the plot twist. My story? It's about choosing to stay soft even after being crushed. It's about choosing to document the truth when everyone else wants to rewrite it. It's about using your pain to pave someone else's path. A few weeks ago, someone emailed me. She'd seen the panel I spoke on. She said, "You don't know me, but I watched your video every night before leaving my husband. Your words helped me believe I wasn't crazy." I sat with that for a long time, because I remember being her. I remember staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering if maybe I was too emotional, too much, too everything. And now someone else felt seen, because I stopped hiding. That's the legacy I want. Not a perfect marriage, not a perfect family, just honesty, and the courage to live in it, loudly or quietly, depending on the day. I don't hate her, not anymore. Hate takes too much space, and I've spent enough of my life making myself small for other people's comfort. She can live with her story, and I'll live with mine. One I'm proud of, one I authored, not edited by fear, not narrated by guilt, not cut short by silence. So, if you're still listening, if you've ever been torn down quietly by someone everyone else calls sweet or just concerned, let me say this for both of us. You are not difficult for noticing the manipulation. You are not cold for protecting your peace. You are not wrong for surviving something no one else saw. You are allowed to walk away, even from family, even from tradition, even from the lie they told about who you're supposed to be. And you're allowed to speak, even if your voice shakes, even if no one claps, even if they say it's too much, because someday, someone else will need your voice to unlock their own. And when that happens, you'll realize you weren't just healing, you were planting seeds. Sometimes I walk past mirrors and catch myself smiling. Not because something amazing happened that day, not because I looked good, but because I feel undeniably me. And that used to be rare. Now it's normal. That's the quiet gift of healing. We don't talk about her anymore, not as a rule, just as a result. She faded from our conversations the way lies do when the truth has nothing left to prove. My husband? He's changed too. There's a softness in him now, not weak, just open. He listens more. He hears more. And when we disagree, he doesn't go looking for his mum's opinion. He comes to me. We're still figuring things out, but we're doing it honestly, with eyes open. That's the best kind of marriage. Sometimes I wonder, if I hadn't pressed record that day, if I hadn't backed up those files, if I hadn't trusted myself when no one else did, would I still be here? Would I still be me? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm so damn glad I didn't wait for her to ruin it all before I decided to stand up. And now, I rest easy. Not because I got revenge, not because I exposed her, but because I know who I am now. And she can't touch that anymore. To the women watching, the daughters-in-law, the wives, the sisters, the women who keep getting told they're too sensitive, too dramatic, too much, you are exactly enough. You've always been. And if someone is trying to erase your worth with a smile and a lie, remember this: you don't need to fight to prove who you are. You just need to know it and act accordingly. That's what I did. That's what I'll keep doing. And that's the legacy I'll leave behind. Not perfect, not pleasing, not passive, just true.